In this one we're doing extra spring upside down the top of the leaf to stop me bouncing off the road suspension mod. Let's go. G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're focusing on the back suspension of this blue ute, because to say it's pretty sketchy is an understatement. When I first drove it I thought, no, the back shocks are stuffed, got too much rebound. So put your shocks in it and no, that's how they are. Look, there's a first leaf spring rear end setup that I'm trying to get dialed in. There's probably a lot of people out there with the more experience than me going, no, he's going a bit wrong. But I've spent the last 10 years or more racing motorbikes and many nights awake thinking about suspension setups. So I'm going to tackle it the only way I know how and get the measurements dialed in like a bike, and then hopefully narrow it down from there. So I might have to come apart a few times before we're happy with the setup. But the main thing I want to share, want to try, is a bit of a secret trick here that I can't find anything online about it. So past few nights I reckon I've read every word on the internet about leaf spring rear ends and all the tricks you can do, and some stuff's absolute dribble, but there's a lot of stuff on there that people have been pretty generous sharing that information. So this trick here, I can't find anything about it online. So I don't know whether people don't know about it, or if people who know about it don't want to tell their little secrets, or it just might just not work. So we'll soon find that out. We've got to go back 50 years to have a look at where this came from, and that was with the Ford XY GT, Phase 3, which had some crazy success and now is worth mega dollars. And I spoke to a bloke that actually bought one of these cars brand new. And when he bought it new, they send you out a little supplementary pack that in order to homologate these cars as race cars, the public has to get their hands on the goodies. And it comes with a little supplementary manual. Even the manual now is worth mega dollars too. And they explain what to do with these hot parts. The thing that excited me was they send you out what's called a rebound leaf or rebound spring, which was basically just another leaf that you flipped upside down and clamped on the top of the spring pack to slow down the rebound and control the pack. If this actually worked 50 years ago, I don't know why the current cars don't have it. They might not work, but that thing seemed to have some pretty big success and was about 10 seconds a lap faster than the year before. I'm sure there's other factors gone into that, but beefing up the rear end has got to help. I've got a few different spring packs here I bought to try and work out what we're going to put on the top there. I even found a mob that's selling these XY GT replacement leaf springs, and it says in the fine print, yeah, it comes with the extra rebound leaf. I didn't have that in the photo. Well, I sent him a message. I said, can you send a photo with the extra leaf on the top? Then no reply. So anyway, let's put it together and see if it stops me trying to bounce off the road.
Ryan Little.
Yoga.
So straight away, before we even rip into it, some alarm bells are ringing, and I'll just show you what my train of thought is here. So with a motorbike, when you set them up, just say that's the suspension travel there, you normally want them sitting about a third of the way down their stroke as we're right to go. So we've got 2/3 of the travel to compress and rebound, and we've got an extra third at the top for extended rebound there. The way this thing's sitting, so we've got a bit over 14 centimetres of usable suspension travel, and it's 29mm off the bump stop straight away. So when you're flying and go through a bump, it just pretty much, it must hit that bump stop and just doing, shoot us straight back up. So even if we put good shocks on it, it's still trying to put a band-aid on a bit of a geometry problem there. Let's pull it apart and see if we can get that thing sitting somewhere. I can't see us getting it right up there anyway, but we might be able to get a bit out of that bump stop and stop it from springing right out. Right, so these are leaf springs. They're big and they're dirty and they're heavy. Even after spending about 20 minutes out the back with the hot gurney, they're still filthy. And they're so heavy. Did I mention they're heavy? I had them on the scales there. They're over 25 kilos each. This is the first time looking at them technically. 3 up the top here, main suspension on the load. The bottom one here upside down, it's like a rebound type one, so when the spring's back up it catches it and then that sort of slows it down. But it's really high, it only catches it right at the top of the stroke, so that's an easy thing to muck with. We can change the height of this. And look, even though they look pretty basic and agricultural, there's a fair few variables here. We'll pull it apart. I'm going to create one almighty spring. No idea how it's going to come out, but in theory, it's got to be better. So we've got them apart, and I'll tell you, if I was going to do this job again, I'd just get a couple of new pins ready to go, because that took about half an hour to get these out without breaking them. So if you had another pair of those, the centre pins, you just snap them off and get straight to it, because that was pretty tedious. When doing up an old car like this, it's easy to think about bolting on shiny new parts, but in reality, spending hours over a parts washer, cleaning everything. I'll just show you this. This is the top saddle off one of the leaf springs. Whoever made this hates their job. It's meant to be 300 years of these leaf springs, and this is what they come up with. So the cuts on it, they're not finished. The holes aren't quite lined up. The holes aren't finished either. So I had to double check on the other one to see if that's how they are, and that is. That's what they give you. So we'll have to clean all this up and put it together properly. But yeah, not that great. Oh, so just cleaned them up and gave them a quick shot with Kill Rust. I thought before I squash it down too hard, hopefully you can see what's going on here. So the top one's the one that I've added off the other leaf pack, which was a rebound spring at the bottom, flipped upside down on the top. And you can see the whole time she's trying to hold it back to stop that spring, to stop the rebound at the back. Closing up a bit of that gap is going to bring in the bottom rebound one a bit earlier. So it's going to be sort of like a two-stage rebound. This one's slowing it down the whole time, and it'll get up in the stroke a bit and start engaging the bottom one. Also having an extra leaf on there is going to beef up the sideways movement as well and stop the actual trying to go sideways in corners. That's it all ready to go. I should add as well that anything added on top of the main leaf is going to act like a lowering block. So it is going to sit a fair bit lower with this setup, but we'll see how it goes. Just before I button all this back up, I thought I'd share one of my top secret projects and what's to come on the back of this ute. So look, hopefully you got your head around how this leaf spring setup works. So when that goes up and down, the back shackle here pivots. That one's mounted solid to the body, and that one sort of swings. And look, having a good look at it, it's nearly exactly the same concept as a rising rate system on a motorbike. So when this is pretty flat, which is how the car is just loaded, a little bit of movement swings out just a little bit, and then when it's right down the bottom of its stroke, a little bit of movement makes this quite a lot more. And, motorbikes have got a really elaborate setup to get that same result, whereas this is doing the same thing just by flattening out a circle. That's sort of the way it works. I'm making up a little bit of a billet sort of linkage that'll go on the top like that, and then it's going to be mounted that way, like a push rod sort of style suspension. Look, I probably won't start with running the spring on there, just running the damper setup, but I can revalve these and load them like the back of my hand. But looking up under there, it's going to be really easy to mount it up. So it's going to be a leaf spring, top spring upside down, dual shock, rising rate, push rod style suspension. So I'm excited about this. Look, you never know, this setup might be fine, but it would have to be pretty whiz bang for me to stop mucking with it. So I'm excited to try that out next. So that's nearly done, but it's not going to be ready for today. So this one we'll put back together and go for a drive that way. But that one's certainly coming up pretty soon. So 22mm from right at the bottom that starts catching it, even the way it is, which is about 20mm better than it was, but it's still not where I want it to be. So this is take 2 on the little bushings. That's what I've made up just out of some axle sliders off a bike. If this does work, and it's a big if.
A few moments later.
Well, already I can tell that one's a fail. It's just made of too hard material and it bangs. So every time it would go up to that part of the stroke, it'd make that noise. Take 3 on the bump stop. I reckon I got it sorted this time. You can just see. Beautiful. It's silent when it hits it.
Ryan Little.
Yoga.
Righto, so I just got back from visiting around the block, and I'm sure the neighbours probably thinking that blue ute just keeps going around the block. I can do a lot of little projects where they don't work out. I can pick straight away that it needs some issues sorting out. That's the case with this one. So, look, the rebound was noticeably better, heaps better. It felt a lot firmer at the back just because it compresses and then sort of stops where it's meant to be, rather than just come bouncing up and then waffling around at the top and eventually settling. So that's awesome. We'll definitely keep going and get this right. But it's making some knocks and bangs, and that was just my poor judgment with that bend of the leaf. So when the car's compressed and the leaf is really flat, it just gets a gap at the front and the back of it, and that hits. So we did some technical tests to try and work out what that noise was. It soon worked out that it was the front and the back of the leaf hitting. So we'll pull it apart again, which is no worries. I knew this wasn't going to get right in the first try, and just get that leaf to put a bit more pressure on the front and the back, and then we'll take off. But yeah, we're onto something here. It's definitely working, and it's surprising how much different it feels at the back. You definitely tell what's going on at the back there, whereas before it was like sitting in a bowl of porridge. But we'll quickly whiz it out and get it back on the road. I tried on that last go an extra 2.5mm spacer on each side to get the clearances, and that's how you know your fitment's getting close, when it's just, you can't hear any scrubbing, but it's just taking the top off the riding around the tyre. I reckon that's just about perfect. Right, so we're just going for another quick squirt, and I'm listening pretty carefully for any knocks and bangs, and so far so good. It seems like that it's shut a fair bit of it up. And this road I'm going down is one of the bumpier ones that I know, so it should be a bit of a good guide. And I can pick already, even the front feels bouncier than the back now, which it used to be the other way around in a big way. So it's definitely tamed it down a bit, but yeah, heaps better. So they were on to something 50 years ago. It's definitely not just a gimmick, this does work. I can feel you're probably thinking, can't Davo, rip into her. Calm down. But alright. It's trying to hang on. It's definitely a lot more predictable than it used to be. I used to predict that it was going to spit you off the road. Now it feels a bit more controlled. Still pretty wild. But yeah, now it's just the ride height is an issue. I love the way they sit real low, but I don't want to be too careful. I want to go faster on these bumpy roads. So it's got to come up. Yeah, now the front's real the back seems to be pretty planted, but it should light up if I wanted to, but now the front's doing a bit of a one step at a time, and we're starting to get a little bit closer. So I hope you've enjoyed that one. A bit of a blast from the past, a trick from 50 years ago, and yeah, it does work. It's still not a GDR, which it's never going to be, but with something that's miles away with the setup to start off with, it's a heap better. Please, as always, hit that thumbs up, because it makes me feel like it's not just me just sitting in my shed talking to my phone. I'm always doing this sort of stuff. It's only now recently that people start liking it that I'll start recording it and post it. So thank you again.